Up next, another in-depth report from Ann Arbor's #1 investigative news team, the Ann Arbor Newshawks. Hello, I'm Chance Langford.
And I'm Beaumont Vivant, and today we're going to help explain the City of Ann Arbor's decision to discontinue leaf pickup.
Each of you homeowners received this mailing from the Solid Waste Department at the city outlining the changes. And I must correct you here, Beaumont, that nowhere in here does it talk about discontinuing leaf pickups, but rather the leaf management program is transitioning from leaf pickups to weekly curbside collection. Now, when I first heard this, I thought this transition was because, well, the city had no money. But that's incorrect. As the mailing points out, this change is because, and I quote, the current leaf collection program has not been satisfying for many residents.
You know, from my experience, there's nothing more satisfying than a great leaf collection system.
I hear you. Now, although this mailing was chock full of information, the city wanted to avoid any confusion and so decided to produce an educational film to better explain the transition.
The city was hoping to get actors from some of the 11 films currently being made in Ann Arbor, but finding no reasonable Hollywood talent available, they turned to the next best thing, the Ann Arbor Newshawks.
You're probably saying, whoa, crack investive news team working for City Hall? That sounds like a conflict of interest. So let us quickly say that we viewed this film as a way to give back to the community, and we accepted no pay for our time. The fact that the city forgave that loitering ticket that Beaumont picked up, interestingly enough, while on assignment, and dropped that lewd and lascivious behavior charge against Jaquez, and we don't want to go there. But these items would certainly never compromise our investigative integrity. So without further ado, let's run the city's film. Ann Arbor, a city that is proud of its traditions, but also a progressive city that is not afraid of change. So it is no surprise that when it comes to a leaf management program, Ann Arbor is looking to the future. Let's start by looking at the obvious reasons why the traditional street leaf pickup has not been satisfying for many residents. First of all, who among us hasn't faced the embarrassment of forgetting the last pickup date? Think of how convenient it will be when leaf pickups happen every week. What about the dangers caused by our current system? Leaves raked into the street wreak havoc with the bike lanes. How many times have we seen this? And leaves in the street can get in the sewer system. Oh, a leaf here, a leaf there, it may not look like much, but before you know it, massive neighborhood flooding and the possible pollution of the Huron River. And we can't forget the ever-present danger of cars parking over leaves in the street. I'm sure we all know someone who's perished in a leaf-related car fire. Faced with these safety and environmental issues, the city decided to transition to weekly curbside collection. 4 container sizes are available. For homeowners, most will pick between the mini, the standard, and the large cart. But for an extra charge of $2,900, you can impress your neighbors with the super-sized Magnum. Just a reminder to you seniors, it can be difficult rolling the Magnum out to the curb and back each week. Homeowners will gladly give up the drudgery of dragging leaves to the street in cold November for the convenience of rolling their leaf cart around the yard and then to the curb for 8 months of the year. Now you may be saying, hey, wait a minute, I don't think my trees drop their leaves at a steady rate each week from April to November. And you would be correct. Most trees lose their leaves in the fall. That's why they call it fall. So with the new curbside pickup, you may need to coax those leaves along in their natural cycle. One of the best ways is to learn tree climbing. Besides being aerobic, tree climbing puts you in close contact with your leaves. From there you can pull out the leaves that don't measure up. There's a badly shaped one. Uh-oh, bird poop on those two. There's one that's half eaten. And that one's kind of dirty. After a few short hours, you will have picked the 20,000 leaves that will fill the container for this week's pickup. Keep up that persistence, and before you know it, you'll have entire trees completed. And it's only July. Despite your best efforts, by late fall you may have fallen behind in your leaf management. This is a time to be creative, but to also be a good citizen. Let's look at two households on Elm Street. Don and Doris Do-Right, who always follow the rules, and neighbor Dick Do-Wrong, who doesn't think rules apply to him. Don and Doris are recycling their excess leaves in creative ways. For example, using leaves as packing material instead of those plastic foam peanuts. And here's Doris doing her scrapbooking skills and making a beautiful leaf collage. Better pick up the pace, Doris. Don has raked up a new bag of material. Meanwhile, Dick Do-Wrong is not being a good citizen in his efforts to find uses for his leaves. His plan is not well thought out and will only serve to both lower his standing in the neighborhood and to harm our environment. Back at the Do-Right household, Don has boiled down 200 pounds of maple leaves into enough maple syrup for a morning's pancakes. And Doris is mailing a box of leaves to a family in a neighborhood that has no trees. Think of the fall fun she has provided for these children by allowing them the chance to frolic in leaf piles just like other kids. Back to Dick Do-Wrong. Now he's become a mall walker at Briarwood, but it looks like getting exercise is the last thing on his mind. I guess he'll never change his ways. But wait, Don Do-Right has come over to share some of his good citizen ideas. He's gotten Dick Do-Wrong to quit buying those illegal Cuban cigars and instead to roll his own by using leaves from his own yard. Now there's a step in the right direction. Let's hope Dick has remembered not to use any of those leaves from the patch of poison ivy in his backyard. Leaf management is not just the citizens' concern. Ann Arbor city government is also coming up with innovative uses for leaves. The street maintenance department is now using leaves to fill the city's potholes. Also, there have been some positive results in using compressed leaves as structural boards, and maybe even as bridge supports in the reconstruction of the stadium bridge. Why, city architects are even looking at using a layer of recycled leaves to improve the appearance of the addition to City Hall. And so, as our journey through the transitioning leaf management program comes to a close, we hope that all of our citizens, armed with their rakes and leaf blowers, but most of all with their American spirit, will meet head-on and overcome the challenges that lie just ahead.
I'm emotionally drained by all of that.
We hope you found that educational. It certainly has gotten us fired up about recycling leaves. In fact, we'll close with Jacques Labatt's new Pure Michigan apparel line using 100% recycled leaves from Michigan. Here he is modeling the Leif Erikson shirt in maple and the Ryan Leaf sports hat in hickory.
Can we speed this up? I've got a caterpillar in my armpit.
We'll see you next time.